Tuesday it is. The coffee's decent today. Not as good as it was yesterday, but you know, it's always gonna be a hit or miss when you got coffee that just ain't that good anyway. We here. Let's see, what's the temp? It feels a tad bit warmer than it has been, which isn't saying too much, but I'm trying to see if I can get the temp over here on the side. Oh yeah, it's quite a bit warmer than it has been. It's about 40 degrees here in northern New Jersey. Some friends of mine who were in Chicago when it was like -10, you know what I'm saying? Like crazy cold. They were saying how the other day and over the weekend it was like 35, which is still pretty cold, but it's definitely better than -10. But we here, we live, and we are ready to go. We have a number of things to discuss today. And sometimes what's most important is that you just keep on pushing forward. Sometimes you don't feel like getting out of bed. Sometimes you don't feel like going to work. And sometimes you need to take a little bit of time. But, there's something about the winter that just makes everything real, just kind of slow and lethargic. So I'm here to help you power through it. So let's go ahead and get to it. So what we gonna start off with today? We don't have a ton of stuff. You said, oh, you in upstate New York? Yeah, yeah. So it's pretty much the same here. Wasn't it like what was it? It was like upstate. Didn't it wasn't like 27 inches of snow or something crazy like that? An insane amount of snow up in upstate New York. But we really in the dead of winter. This is the thick of winter. But we got a couple of things to go over today. Not a ton of stuff. It's just Tuesday, and for the most part, we got the New Hampshire primary coming up, which I mean, Trump's gonna win it. Nikki Haley, I guess there's a possibility she could win, but I don't really think that that's gonna happen. I don't really suspect that to go down. And then after that, it's pretty much done. We covered how the other day, um, what's her name? Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race, which was not a surprise whatsoever. So let's see what we gonna start with today. What we gonna start with today? hmm. Let's just start with a quick little Trump clip, and then we gonna skip forward to a few things. Some stuff out of Florida, Tucker Carlson, things like that. I mean, if Nikki Haley doesn't do well, then yeah, I think she's very. I mean, just like Ron DeSantis, if you ain't winning nothing, if you can't pick nothing up, then what's the point of wasting your money, wasting your time, everybody else's money, everybody else's time? So yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if she doesn't win, she'll probably drop out. Which I don't, particularly suspect her to win this evening. Right. Yes, it's warming up. We up to up to 36, up to 40 degrees. Oh, but I can't. I mean, I really cannot wait for the springtime. I mean, it is what it is. But again, this part of the year is just it's rough. It's cold and people's mental health people's mental health problems. Oh, we got my man chilling 2D8 in the 77 degrees down there in Florida. So yeah, he don't got to deal with the same type of stuff there. But yeah, nah, man, it's just so slow. But let's see. I haven't watched this, but you're right. Trump approves when rally fans scream, 12 years of Trump, 12 years of slave, 12 years of Trump.
But think of it. I would now be rounding out my term. In other words, if they didn't do all these things, and I could name 10 more or more, I'd now be.
I could endlessly name all the things that they did. I was supposed to be president right now. I would have been president.
But then that would have been it. Unless it's again 12 years of Trump. We got it. They want him in there like they had FDR.
Rounding it out.
Rounding it out.
It would almost be over. But because they did mess with me, now they've got us and me for 4 more years. Think of that. We'll drive them crazy. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a.
Indeed, chilling 2D8. You got sanctimonious, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's always something. There's always cons with the pros and pros with the cons. Things just can't be perfect. And what is perfection, you know?
Great badge of honor. I really do. I'm being indicted for you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Indicted
Never
for
forget,
you.
our enemies want to.
That's a shirt right there.
You're right. That's very interesting. Don't say that too loud. They'll start saying, he wants more. He's a fascist. You know, they love to call me a fascist. He's a fascist. The fascists are the people that will do what they're doing to a political opponent. Those are fascists, by the way. Those are the people that are a danger to the country.
God, again, it's just the entire Republican entity is about this single man, this one person. And politically, that's just a losing recipe. It just is. Like even if he wins in November, like the party itself is just in a horrible position. Republicans are almost certainly going to get. I mean, they steady losing because of this abortion bullshit and everything else that they doing. But yeah, I thought that would just be a fun little clip to start off with today because again, we don't have a super long stream today. There's not a ton of stuff to cover in regards to this, but Trump, he's just what a hell of a guy. What a hell of a guy, man. And again, he said, "I'm indicted for you." The idea that this man who's been rich his entire life, a financial crook his entire life, is a man of the people. A man, it's so stupid. Now let's check this out. Depressing. Tucker Carlson's former head writer trashes fired Fox News host new Twitter show. Hey, let's be serious, man. Tucker Carlson is spectacularly untalented, and his Twitter show is horrible. It's just bad. It's just not good. Luckily for him, though, he got more. He got more money than he'll ever need, so he good. He's straight. Okay, so let's see what they had to say. I guess this is the person. All right, here we go. If Tucker had been on the air, we'd have a timely, live, and fiery monologue on the border, fencing, and SCOTUS. Now we get this recycled, cattered interview. Depressing. It's such a transparent strategy. Let's just interview the accounts with a bunch of followers so they retweet. Yeah, I mean, again, and that's what it said. If he was still at Fox, he'd be reading my scripts, but now he's doing his own thing and he sucks. That's basically what was said right here. We'd also have a steady stream of conspiracy theories and demagoguery being shoved down our throats. Personally, I'm enjoying Tucker's more overt embrace of what he is, the most desperate member of the herd, not its leader. And that's a good take right there. Because again, he's just astoundingly uninteresting, untalented. He's just not good at what he does. You know what I mean? And two, I mean, Fox News was his whole, like, Fox News was everything. It was his engine, it was his audience, all of it. Because just like, well, I mean, what was Tucker Carlson really talking about at the end of the day? The same old BS that they talk about on all the right wing outlets. So, like, it doesn't matter. Like, his number one spot was basically just the fact that he was on Fox News. Like, that's it. That's literally it. Like, absolutely nothing else. All right, now. This just kills me. This shit kills me right here, right? This is so hollow. It's so empty. Republican governor hits back at Trump attack over Fox News appearance. No, it's hard to keep up at your advanced age, but it's like, bro, you've already submitted to the MAGA movement. You've already said you're going to vote for him regardless. So all of this is hollow. All of this is BS. It's all a joke. I guess this is what he responded to. What did he? Trump went to Truth Social and he wrote,
Why does Fox keep putting New Hampshire Governor Chris Anunu on? Every time I mention his name at a rally, they boo like crazy. He's all jacked up on something, but he ran for president without having the courage to announce, and did really poorly. To have this loser on so much is really bad TV.
And then Sununu says, I suppose it's tough keeping up with the conversation given your advanced age. Maybe try subtitles next time. Thanks for watching. But it's like, dude, but you gon' you it's so stupid. Like, what are you talking about? And then he was throwing shots. Chris Sununu was throwing shots at Tim Scott for endorsing Donald Trump. Like, bruh, Nikki Haley's not gonna win the nomination. It's like she's not winning the Republican nomination. So this would only be significant if you were like, look, I'm not voting for Trump. I don't care, I don't care if he's a nominee, I'm not voting for him. Then this would matter. But since you're not doing none of that, then who gives a shit? Like, who cares, bruh? All right, now let's see what's up with this. Former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who took on January 6 rioters, discussed his congressional run. So let's hear what he has to say. I watched some of this before, and I remember he mentioned some about prison reform. So let's give a brother a chance.
Turning now to Your Voice, Your Vote. One of the Capitol police officers who defended the U.S. Capitol against rioters on January 6th is now running for Congress. And joining us to discuss his campaign is Harry Dunn, who resigned as a Capitol officer just last month. Harry, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with us. We know that you're running as a Democrat to represent Maryland's 3rd congressional district, which includes several counties outside of Baltimore. First and foremost, just share with us why you decided that you wanted to run.
Thanks for having me on. It's always good to talk with you. But, ever since, it's been 3 years now since the whole January 6th attack on this nation. I've been working as hard as I can to seek out accountability and fight for justice and the preservation of our democracy and our Constitution. I've been doing that in a public capacity for the last 3 years. And I feel like I've done all that I can do in the role that I've been in as a
He do look like Uncle Phil.
Capitol police officer in the furtherance of that fight. I love the saying that until there's nothing that can be done, there's always something that can be done. And it's no exaggeration to say that we are still under a threat of our democracy no longer existing. And once Mr. Sarbanes, who represents the 3rd district now, announced that he is not seeking election, that created a real opportunity for me to do even more. So I thought, what better way to continue my my mission?
Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, that's whack. They're going to hate on this right
You
in the...
delivered, of course, some memorable testimony before the House committee, which investigated the attack and called the pro-Trumper rioters terrorists. You've also written a book about your experiences from that day. Tell us what happened on January 6th that has really shaped your campaign.
I don't necessarily know if it's like shaped my campaign. I just, obviously on January 6th, I was a police officer and I did my job. I did just like so many brave men and women from the Capitol Police and Metropolitan Police. They did their jobs that day. But everything that I've done afterwards, I don't view it as...
Bruh, how can... Bruh, these people literally ran up into the Capitol and packed the halls. And then they're just like, ooh, who cares? It doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck? Like, and we're just so desensitized and, drowned out with constantly being bombarded with just ridiculous content everywhere we look. But bro, look at these people, man. This is this shit is crazy. These people are crazy.
Me being a police officer, I just view it as me being an American citizen who cares about his country, who loves his country, who hates the direction that it is headed. And having a front row seat to the events of January 6th and serving at the place where members of Congress, Donald Trump subordinates, are attempting to whitewash everything that happened, and just basically give him a free pass for it. Of being at the front seat, being at a servant at the table, watching them, it's kind of fueled me to this moment that we're in right now. And if January 6th didn't happen, surely you and I aren't sitting here having this conversation at this moment. But January 6th did happen, and there's an opportunity for me to have a seat at the table and not just watch now.
What do you feel is the biggest challenge Congress is facing right now?
Stability. Look how long we went without having a speaker elected. Look how long it took former Speaker McCarthy to get elected, and now current speaker that we have right now. There's no stability in Congress. I think people want to feel secure and they want a sense of stability, and we're not getting that in Congress right now. Whether for whatever reason, just in the talks of all the border security that's going on, that the House is currently fighting over with the Senate. Having reached an agreement, what are we doing now? There's no stability in government. We're steadily passing stopgap spending bills, short bills instead of long-term funding. We can't even get that done. So I just think people want stability and security and representation in Congress. I've been a public servant, and that's, I may not be a public official, a career public official, but I'm a career public servant, and I've been doing that my whole life. And listening to people and giving them a voice is something that I think I'll be fantastic at.
If you are to be elected, what would you say is the first thing you want to accomplish?
Wow, there's so many things that I definitely want to tackle. I've been pounding the pavement since day one about mental health, and any and all legislation that we can form and bring to the forefront for mental health, reducing the stigma, making it more available and accessible for individuals who need it, is something that I definitely want to take care of. I also want to tackle prison reform. There's so many things that especially nowadays, since it appears to have the MAGA faction of the Republican Party's attention, they've been using the term hostages to refer to prisoners from January 6th. It seems like prison reform is something that they would be willing to talk about now. People of marginalized communities and colored communities have been screaming about the criminal justice reform that is needed and necessary for so long. But it's kind of a shame that they only want to bring light to it now that it's affecting the people that their supporters, their voters. But that's something I would love to sit down and have a talk about.
Harry Dunn, we thank you so much for your.
All right, yeah, no, I think he has. Well, definitely, he has a springboard in terms of, um, just name recognition and things like that could help him go a long way. The Democratic Party will definitely be behind him, and the two policy areas that he mentioned, mental health and prison reform. I mean, that's a pretty those are two pretty solid policy positions. So we'll see what happens as he continues to run. But just given the fact that he came into the national spotlight because of what happened January 6, 2021, I thought it was worth checking out, because I think that he'll be somebody that inevitably we'll end up seeing a lot of. So we'll keep our eyes open for that. But yeah, like you said, yeah, now MAGA talking about we got a two-tier justice system because Donald Trump got caught. That's all it really is. Donald Trump got caught, so we got a two-tier justice system. All right, now here we go. This is a good This website that I'm about to pull up. This is a good website for like educational news, things that are going on in like public schools, different things around communities around the country. NYC says it won't move forward with tens of millions in cuts to District 75 schools. And again, this may not be relevant to anybody who doesn't live in New York, but this is a good example of the types of things that happen relatively quickly at the local level with local politics. Things like this end up, a lot gets done in the course of a year. Federally, we know not much happens, but locally, stuff like this gets decided upon all the time. New York City's education department is pledging not to move forward with tens of millions of dollars in budget cuts to District 75 programs for students with significant disabilities. But school staffers say they're still getting mixed messages about the cuts. Staffers in multiple District 75 schools said last month that their principals were instructed to cut $1 million or more from their budgets as part of a citywide budget cuts ordered by Mayor Eric Adams. He is not popular, and he almost certainly will not win re-election. The planned cuts totaled roughly $97 million across the district and would have forced schools to slash spending on extracurricular supplies and paraprofessionals, people familiar with the discussion said. Following an outcry from school staffers, parents, and advocates over the planned cuts, Education Department spokesperson Nathaniel Steyer said earlier this week, quote, "We can confirm that there are no school-based cuts happening to District 75. Another Education Department spokesperson denied that there was a, quote, change in course and insisted that District 75 schools were simply asked to review their budgets. Quote, "We are working with district leadership to ensure this understanding is clear for all principals," the spokesperson added. But yeah, again, this is why it's so important to be involved in your community. You know, because at the end of the day, you know, for everything that's going to happen, for all the news, for all the headlines, for all the noise that's going to be made in this presidential election, not that much is going on. It's just Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. But things like this happen on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis in local government. Um, and as the election picks up, I definitely like to talk more about what's happening locally around the country because it's important. And honestly, it's more interesting. It's just more interesting at this point. All right, here we go. But yeah, no, Eric Adams is definitely, definitely not beloved. You were on camera saying those things. Caitlin Collins plays GOP congressman's anti-Trump remark to him after he denied making.
But you are on camera very critical of Donald Trump, and it caused Trump's campaign manager to claim that you wouldn't be electable when they were done with you.
Created by a campaign opponent who sliced it up and edited it to take out the complimentary praise statements that I said about President Trump. It's a highly edited video.
No, it was edited. I was praising Trump. I was licking his ass. I was licking his gooch and his taint and his butt. I was licking it. I was slurping on it. Oh, God, these people are pathetic. I mean, that's literally what he's doing right now. No, I would never, ever be critical of Donald Trump because he is beyond criticism. Like, dude, oh, God. Oh, I want to win re-election so bad. Like, or whatever it is. It's like, bro, like, God, bro, the whole party is about Donald Trump. The whole thing.
Provided by a campaign operative for my
So you didn't say
opponent,
those
so
things that you're on camera saying? I mean, you're on camera.
We got Ariola, we got Hassan in the building. What's going on, brother?
Take sentences and you take part of the sentence out and you get a different conclusion from that sentence or a different inference from that sentence.
I want everyone who's watching to see what it was that you said, and because it is edited. There's moments where it says Congressman Bob Good says this, feels this. But let me just play a moment of that so everyone can see what's actually on camera.
I decided to endorse DeSantis in May because I thought, you know what, I can't sit by and watch and then regret that we nominated Trump.
You are on camera
fake.
saying those things, Congressman.
Well, but that's part of a larger sentence, a larger conversation that's been edited out. And it takes out the part where I praise President Trump and I say that he was the greatest president of my lifetime and that I don't criticize President.
Oh my God, bro. Like, I mean, it's embarrassing. It is. Oh my God. And I don't know how old this guy is. He looks like he's somewhere in his 50s, maybe late 40s, somewhere in his 50s. Which means he was alive when Reagan was president. So for a Republican to say that Donald Trump was a greater president than Ronald Reagan, it's like you don't really think that, bruh. Like, come on, man. Like, But they took out, yeah, I said a little bit of bad things about him, but overall in the tape, I was saying more good things about him. Like, oh my, I mean, God, these men are pathetic. Pathetic. And these are supposed to be the people who are the alpha males and the big dogs. Like,
Trump, I'm just supporting Governor DeSantis, and explaining to someone who was asking me, well, why did you make that endorsement decision? And I'm explaining that to them, that I thought in the battleground states that Governor DeSantis would give us a better chance to win. Obviously, that decision has been made by the voters, the Republican voters across the country are overwhelmingly supporting President Trump, and I support President Trump as well.
Yeah, well, you do say on camera that you don't want to say those things publicly, but you say them privately. It is notable to hear you say there, though, that you thought DeSantis would be more effective.
Bro, look at how hard he's trying. This is
that was said was, I don't criticize President Trump publicly. If somebody asks me privately to answer a question on an issue comparison, I'm going to do that. But the point that I was making is that I'm for Governor DeSantis. I was.
But are you acknowledging that you say things differently publicly?
He just said, yes, he just said that. He just said that. He just said, I won't criticize Trump publicly.
Privately, that's what your answer there sounded like, Congressman.
Absolutely not.
That's what you said.
Okay. Congressman Bob Good, I really appreciate your time explaining how this went from an endorsement of Governor DeSantis to now your endorsement of Donald Trump. We appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on The Source.
And again, that's the whole thing with like Governor Anunu. It's like, bro, Nikki Haley might as well just drop out now because she's not going to win New Hampshire. I mean, if she was going to win anything, it's going to be New Hampshire. That almost certainly ain't happening. So you might as well pack it up now. Yeah, oh my God, this is so. But again, that's why I said it's ultimately that's why it's really important for us to pay more attention to stuff like this. Hold on, let me pull this up. Like what we just went over with the New York School District 75. That's why it's more important. It's important for us to keep our eyes and be involved with stuff like this, man. Because otherwise, what do we have on a federal level? We got a whole bunch of what we just looked at. Oh no, I would never criticize Trump. And then on the other side, you got Joe Biden, which is, basically, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are like the end of the Reagan Clinton era. So it's like this, it's kind of the same thing. Donald Trump certainly has different kinds of issues, but this is this is just more interesting than that. It just is. And more important, Hochul proposes more than $800 million funding increase for New York schools, 4-year extension of mayoral control. And again, stuff like this goes down at the local level. At the local and state level, shit goes down, man. Governor Kathy Hochul has proposed a more than $800 million increase in funding for the state's public schools, while also calling for a 4-year extension of New York City's polarizing mayoral control system. The proposals came Tuesday as Hochul presented her $233 billion 2025 state budget, building on the hundreds of policy initiatives announced last week in her State of the State address. Her budget proposals also set aside $10 million for teacher training to support a statewide literacy initiative that Hochul hopes will encourage schools to adopt new curriculums. And education reform is extremely important. It's been important. It will always be important. But our education system is very far behind in so many ways. The governor's call to extend New York City's centralized school governance structure is in some ways unsurprising. She advocated for the same extension in 2022, though lawmakers eventually approved only a 2-year extension and tasked the state's education department with compiling a report on how effective the system has been. But her support for mayoral control comes just months before the release of that report. It follows a series of public hearings in New York City where the status quo has been hotly contested. This is a good chalk beat is a good resource to kind of keep up with what's going on. And we got Dragon Ball Super in the building. But yeah, Chalkbeat is a really good resource if you're interested in just kind of staying up to date with what's happening in education departments around the country. There's other stuff too, but from what I can tell, it's mostly focused on education. They do a really good job breaking stuff down. Also wants to spend $825 million more on the state schools, a 2.4% funding jump from last year's budget. That increase will bring the state's total education tab to more than $35.3 billion, the highest level of state aid in history. We need our children to be educated for many reasons. One of them being they got to be able to compete with the international market. So this just goes into the numbers and stuff, and we don't have to just go blah 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 all into it. This is more of a thing to look at during your own time. But I recommend Chalkbeat. I recommend Chalkbeat just as much as I recommend Chip Chick because y'all already know. Y'all already know I love me some Chip Chick. I agree. I mean, because so many issues stem from people not knowing a variety of things, whether that be not having certain skill sets that are relevant to the job market today, or just not having general knowledge to how certain world systems operate, how the international job market operates, how the world functions, things like that. I agree. I definitely agree 100%. Because I mean, so much so and it's not even about like state education. It's just helping to teach young people how to think, not what to think, but how to think. And that can only and even if you're somebody who only cares about things like GDP and shit like that, like would that not help us? Would that not help boost the economy tremendously? Um, so absolutely, I agree. All right, let's see what's up with this real quick. Cause like we already know, that boy Trump, this is so hilarious to be bad. Florida GOP bill to use taxpayer money to cover Trump legal fees goes down in flames. Bro, Donald, I mean, his legal fees are already crazy, but when it's all said and done, like as the year progresses, man, his legal fees are gonna be so crazy. The fees on top of whatever he owes, like for the civil trial and whatever else. The E. Jean Carroll right now, he's almost. I don't know what it's going to be, but he's going to get a pretty big fine because he won't shut up about E. Jean Carroll. And then obviously the criminal trials are a bit different. That's not really as much about his money, but it's just hilarious because MAGA's paying his legal bills and whatever it is that he ends up getting, they gonna pay for it, bruh. It's gonna be hundreds of millions of dollars, and MAGA's gonna pay for that shit. A plan superheaded by some Florida Republicans to use taxpayer funds to assist former president. Bro, that is crazy. That's crazy, bruh. See, this is the type of stuff that, and not to say that they aren't. The only effect, and it's still so early, but the only effective ad that I've seen that the Biden campaign has put out is the one that focuses on abortion rights. That's very effective. It will continue to be effective. But the stuff, and even outside of the Biden campaign, you look at the larger Democratic apparatus, like the MSNBCs and CNNs and kind of that sector where it's just like, oh, Trump's in cognitive decline, that just doesn't really hold any weight. But stuff like this does. You feel me? It's like, bro, this dude is trying to get y'all to pay his goddamn legal fees. Things like this are significant because it's like, dude, get the fuck out of here. The bill was filed earlier this month by Senator Elena. I think that's it. Elena Garcia. for this year's legislative session and could allow Florida to give Trump up to $5 million as he navigates 4 criminal indictments at the federal and state level, as well as a second defamation trial with writer E. Jean Carroll. Politico reported that he proposed legislation which would give money to presidential candidates who were Florida residents, had already received backing from Florida's Republican chief financial officer and a member of DeSantis' cabinet, Jimmy Patronis. Quote, "It's in Florida's best interest to make sure their champion for the president is allowed a fair shot at the White House without being taken down by some fake witch hunt. And y'all tax dollars got to pay for it." Bro, see again, this is the type of stuff that's effective to point out, just politically speaking, because it's like, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. You want me to pay for your bitch ass fucking no. But again, when you're talking about stuff like, oh, he's in cognitive decline, like, I mean, it may be funny to watch, but you know, even before Joe Biden was in his 80s, Joe Biden has never been good at speaking. Like, he's always stuttered, and he's kind of goofy. You feel me? Like, he's kind of just a silly guy. So he's always been like that. So again, shit like that really just isn't impactful. All right, so here we go. Quote, "If we can help and support a Florida candidate for the White House, that's just good from a dollars and cents perspective." What? "From all the decisions the federal government makes with regard to military installations, to roads, to disaster aid, it's in Florida's best interest to make sure their champion for the president is allowed a fair shot at the White House without being taken down by some fake witch hunt. Moreover, if Governor DeSantis makes another run at it, he has said that he too could face the same legal headwinds that President Trump is facing." Bro, that is some BS. Y'all just kissing Trump's boots. Because no, Ron DeSantis will never, ever be in the same situation that Donald Trump's in. One, because he probably won't ever be president. But two, because most people don't do the things that Trump does. I'm sure Ron DeSantis is, maybe committed this and committed that here and there. But Ron DeSantis hasn't made a career of being a tax fraud and a financial crook and a con artist. That's not what he is. So no, that's and again, that's why something like that got shot down, because it's so ridiculous. Garcia on Monday said in a release disseminated by Patronis's office that, quote, "We're in the midst of an historic moment where we're watching an election that's trying to be stolen by left-wing prosecutors, the Biden administration, and even blue states. They're not trying to win at the ballot box. They're trying to keep President Trump off the ballot by weaponizing the courts. Having a Floridian in the White House is good for our state. And anything we can do to support Florida presidential candidates like President Trump will not only benefit our state, but our nation." Are you serious? This is... Bro, this is some of the most egregious shit I've ever seen. Like, you motherfuckers are gonna pay my bills. Trump's a sugar baby. "Some Florida Republicans want taxpayers to pay Trump's legal bills," the governor wrote, "but not the Florida Republican who wields the veto pen." See, again, DeSantis was like, no, y'all ain't gonna have this on my name. Fuck that. But by Monday night, Garcia stated that she would withdraw the bill after DeSantis, who on Sunday announced the suspension of his 2024 presidential campaign, took to Twitter to express his opposition. He said, no. Well, this bill was filed on January 5th amidst a crowded primary, including 2 Florida residents. Garcia tweeted in response to the governor, "My concern was the political weaponization against conservative candidates. And while Jimmy Patronis brought me this bill at a time when all candidates were committing to campaign through the primary, one frontrunner now remains, and he can handle himself. I will be withdrawing the bill." Oh my God. Oh, bro, people like this are winning elections. Like, oh my good, this is. Hey, but Ron DeSantis shut that down, so it's like it's not going to go anywhere. You know that bill isn't going anywhere. But it's like, what in the hell is going on? All right, now we gonna end with some Carrie Lake. We gonna end with some Carrie Lake. Pro-Trump guest stunned when Newsmax anchor calls Trump an old man. Claims he's sharp amid New Hampshire gaffes.
But this election is going to be huge for two reasons. One, Donald Trump's an old man, just like Joe Biden. But also, Trump, if
Hey, at least he said it. At least he said it.
it can only serve, he's 77 years
He's not an old man.
old. He's an old man, just like Joe Biden, who's 81 years old. But this election is going to be huge for two reasons. One, Donald Trump's an old man, just like Joe Biden. But also, Trump, if elected, can only serve. He's 77 years old. He's an old man, just like Joe Biden, who's 81 years old. If Trump is elected, he can only serve 4 years. So this pick is huge. If it's not you, who would you like to see Trump run with?
I thought we were going to talk about New Hampshire.
We're going to talk all about it, but I'm curious because
Well,
if you're not on the short list, who do you like?
I think that's a derogatory way of referring to, President Trump. Saying he's an old man. He's one of the most energized.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. Just chronologically, Donald Trump. My dad's 81. I would say the same thing. I'm just saying that Donald Trump is an older man, and he is someone that can only serve 4 years. So his pick, more so than 8 years ago in 2016, is going to be crucially important. If it's not you, who would you like to see run with the former president?
Well, first of all, Donald Trump is not an old man. He is a very sharp man. His cognitive abilities are unlike anything I've ever seen. I talk to him all the time.
She said, "Oh, first of all, motherfucker, I don't want to see nobody else being his running mate other than me." That's what she said. Ain't she running for Senate too? Yeah, she is running for Senate. She trying whatever she can win. She just trying to win it. You know, she couldn't become governor. Oh, let me try to become senator. Maybe vice president too.
Time. He's incredible. And, it was one of our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, was 81 years old when he helped to draft and write the United States Constitution. Age is just a number. It's what's going on up here. And there's a lot going on up here with President Trump. Unfortunately, with
that's definitely right. There's a whole lot going on up here with President Trump.
Joe Biden, there's not much going on up here. And so that's the problem. I think.
But this election is going to be huge for.
Oh God. Hey, but you know what? That would be interesting because not only is, Kamala Harris is not popular. People really don't like her. But it's not even just that. It's not even just that she's not popular. Carrie Lake may have more charisma than her. That she's not. Kamala Harris isn't, very profound with her presence. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she just doesn't really seem to be that comfortable exuding herself to an audience, which is okay, but it causes problems when it comes to being in that position. Because if she did have that, then she would be a lot more front facing than she has been, but she doesn't. But that was a good Tuesday stream. You know what I'm saying? A slower stream. Rather a shorter stream, because it wasn't too much going on. But again, one thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that we start paying more attention to just, things that are going on and locally around the country. That the website that I had up, what was it? Chalked Up, I think that's what it was, but very good resource for things like that. So we're going to continue to look into it because, again, at the end of the day, like it's either Trump or Biden's going to win, and we won't know who that's going to be until the time comes. So I think it's important for us to, yeah, sure, we'll keep our eyes on it, but I think it's important for us to, when we come together, for us to, just see what's really going on in the country. And how we can be of assistance, how we may be able to help out, and how we can continue to grow this community in the direction of being a part of community and local government. So I am using, what is this? A Yeti Nano. I'm using a Blue Yeti Nano. That's what this is. But I will see y'all tomorrow. And yeah, there's really not too much going on right now. But again, I'm going to be looking deeper into local stuff because it's important and it's more interesting than all this Trump v. Biden BS. It just is. But y'all have a fantastic rest of the day. I'm about to get me some food and I will see you.